Hey everyone, Dave Putz from JKP Holdings. I got asked a question the other day, how did I get started? And I know I've spoken about it, but they want to know more details and they thought the story was interesting. So it challenged me to kind of put this video together to kind of share with others. And maybe others will share with their story with others as well. Back in 2008, a very close childhood friend of mine joined up with a large seconds company um, and became an asset manager. 2009, 2000, right before 2010, he encouraged me to go check out a short sale meeting in New York City. We sat for 3 days. I learned a lot in that class. It was pretty cool. So I'm kind of curious what that was about and what angle he was playing. Smart guy he's as he is. We kind of just shot talk for a while and got to listen to what he was doing for work. No clue what he was doing. I had some rentals, but it wasn't really interesting to me. Um, Things were just a weird time. So in 2010, that person came to me and decided to leave where he was. At that time, I really didn't know much about anything. And I didn't really learn much, but I knew that he was a smart guy. And I had read another close friend of ours that the three of us were just interested in learning more about what he's talking about. No longer was he talking about short sales. He was actually now talking about performing, not performing, promissory notes. Like, what? Now I'm signing these things for mortgages I bought, but I didn't really look at the papers. Um, and even my own house, I didn't look, no clue. And I knew I had a mortgage and a note, thought they're the same thing. So we sat down in his apartment in New York City and one weekend, and he just talked to me about what he was starting as a venture of buying assets through some money he got through family. We then got into a spot where I offered him if I could help him out, get started on spare time, that'd be pretty cool. He took it in a shot. We were buying assets from another company, and he needed me to kind of just give values. Um, I was like, right, wrong, who knows? I asked a lot of questions, like why is it percentage of BPO, percentage of UP, when that used, what, like how is it all figured out, and like why are you buying outside your state? Forget like your county, like where are you going, dude? And then he would share things of different states. I had different rules, and I asked where the property managers were, and there was none. Like, what do you mean there's no? Like, he said, they don't call me for property problems. I don't own the property. My wife and I thought it was crazy. Started going to conferences. He brought me talking to some guys who have been around for a while and started learning a little bit more. And back then, we're buying a ton of assets, and I was just doing valuations, little due diligence, mostly valuations, and networking with other buyers. And he was brokering some deals, which was pretty interesting. I faked till I made it back then. Some of those people I still talk to today, which is kind of crazy. Um, and this note community started forming around me. Um, and he had a lot of connections, which was amazing. He was doing this completely full time with no fear in the world. Little I know, we are buying non performing first position mortgages for between 30 to 36 cents on a dollar. Um, Back then, we wouldn't go above 40, which is unthinkable. So, me, him, and our other friend doing more and more of this kind of process. Uh, the biggest question we had was, um, what do you look for? What do you want us to do? We're just guessing on value here. We're guessing in the neighborhood. We're describing the picture of the house, um, describing something to do with the neighborhood, and giving our kind of gut feeling how values were. using Zillow as a map and whatnot. Very simplified thing in 2010. We then moved on to getting some kind of automation. We were pulling pictures in of the property, which was great. We were using Excel back then. Until one night, both of us were on the sheet and Dropbox, because back then you couldn't actually save two different copies. The file won't corrupt. So that was a bad night. We lost just over 750 properties that we evaluated. Two people evaluated about 750 in total. So we went from doing that to, again, we're asking him what he wants. We eventually realized that the only thing we cared about back then was no bars in the windows. What rhyme or reason that was, I don't know. It was just one of those things. Value of the property didn't really matter. And we didn't interact much with attorneys and collateral files and none of that stuff. I didn't get into that until I was buying notes myself. And I think at the beginning, because pricing was so low, I got lucky. I don't even think I looked at the first collateral file. I don't think I understood the chain. I bought actually with a friend of mine, the other partner that was involved, and we bought it. We bought two actually, and I've described that purchase in a different video, and I can definitely link to that video later. But we didn't know what we were doing, and my buddy just said, just go buy. Our total purchase was $6,000 for. It was crazy. It was 70,000 EPB. I'd have to look at numbers, but I got into it because a good friend of mine picked me up. And for those who are saying, "Well, you had a great connection and all that stuff," to his day, he really didn't teach a lot in the beginning, and he'll admit that. We didn't learn a lot from him. We learned a lot by doing it and seeing what he did, almost a mentor. Since we know each other for many, 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 many years, we just kind of hung out, and we had something again in common. From evaluating thousands and thousands and thousands of properties, I felt pretty confident in my valuation process. And also knowing that if I was off by a little bit, it wasn't a huge deal, and that I had a margin, and I was always conservative. If the property was ranging from 75 to 125, that big range, we'd freeze, and we would actually go to, 75, 80, 85. We'd be very conservative. Of maybe uncertainty. Nowadays, we're much better evaluating that and knowing what kind of level it is and understanding why the disparity of values are there. Factors of type of home, year built, type of neighborhood, what's nearby, street by street, and the connections we've made allow us to find those information out. So for those who are curious how someone like myself has got into it, I challenge you also ask others. A lot of people have gone through trainings. I didn't do that. The networking was awesome, and I wish I did it, but I didn't. So I think that, my story was unique because the people I was surrounding myself with not encouraged me, just brought me along, and I had no choice. It was kind of the cool thing to do, I guess. And we wanted to learn. We wanted to get into it because it was something we were all doing together as a team, I guess. It's pretty cool. But today, they're still friends of mine. We're going on 35 plus years now. But what I realized is that the support's around are great. So hope this helps anyone who's out there. Any more questions, let me know. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Dave Putz from JKP Holdings.